Lord be with you.
And also with you.
The Holy Gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ, according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born the King of the Jews? For we have observed his star at its rising, and have come to pay him homage." And when King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, Herod inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. And they told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it is written by the prophet, 'And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel.'" Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, so that I may also go and pay him homage." And when the wise men had heard the king, they set out. And there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it was over the place where the child was. And when they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. And on entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and they paid him homage. Then opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another way. The Gospel of Christ.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
They saw a sign and followed it. Christmas, which we had just celebrated on Christmas Eve, and heard the story of the shepherds in the field. Apart from a few shepherds, everybody else missed the event. They were in Bethlehem. Only a few shepherds came to the stable. Even the innkeeper missed the event, had no idea what the significance was of this child. Everybody missed it. In the whole land of Judea and Jerusalem, everybody missed it except for a few poor shepherds. And 3 wise men from far away, Gentiles from another nation. And this is what Epiphany is about. The shining forth from the Christ child into the nations, so that the nations, the Gentiles, can come to know the God of Israel through the Christ child. And so here we are, gathered here, so many centuries after the event, so far away from Bethlehem, all because the child was born and the light shone into the world from him and has gathered the nations. And so we too are called to shine the light so that others can see Christ through us. Now here, another point of significance in the Epiphany story is these 3 wise men who came from so far away, these Gentiles who followed the star. Remember what King Herod said to them? "Come back and tell me where he is so I too can go and worship him." They were warned in a dream not to return to Herod, and they returned to their home far away in the nation far away to the east, they returned to their home by another way, another road, another way. That's really significant, that these three wise men, when they had an encounter with the Christ child, went home another way. You see, before Christians were called Christians, they were called the people of the way. And these three wise men, when they had an encounter with the Christ child, the light of the nations, they went home another way. These men were never the same again. And so it is with us. When we open our hearts to Jesus, when we receive the Christ child, when the light shines into our lives and shines forth from our lives into the world, we are never the same. We are transformed. We go home by another way. Oh, you might say, well, I get in my car and I drive the same way, down the same road to my house and into the same driveway. But when you come here to worship and you sing praises to God, you gather as the people of God, you say prayers together, you receive the sacraments together, you fellowship together, and then you go home, you leave, but your heart is in a different way. You go home by a different way, filled with the light of Christ, light and life. And you begin to see things in a different way. Instead of seeing those who are poor and destitute and outcasts, you begin to see Jesus in them. Instead of seeing pain and suffering and sorrow and wanting to avoid it, you begin to see Christ in the situation. And you're drawn in to be Jesus' light in that situation. You see, we too are changed when we encounter Jesus. We too go home by a different way. And so, this is what Epiphany means to us, to the world, to the nations. That child that was born so long ago in a stable in poverty is the King of Kings and the light of the nations. And the same light that shines forth into your heart, into my heart, and into the hearts of the people of the world is that same light that the three wise men encountered so long ago and transformed their lives. And so I'm sure that each and every one of you sitting here today can think of a time when you encountered the risen Christ in your life. When you knew Jesus was there. It could have been maybe the lowest time in your life or the highest time in your life, and you knew Jesus was there in the midst of it, and his light was shining in your life, and you don't know how. Those are the moments that you know that transformation has happened in your life. And I know that when these moments happen, that we go home by another way.